Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome home, guys. Welcome. Yes, as you guys know, ZakIsCinema is just for all those beautiful, lovely people out there that still have a subscription to a movie theater chain or movie theater company. I mean, if that's you, you're just like me here. I'm doing my part. I'm working every day here to support my local theater, the dying business that is movie theater chains. But I can sleep well at night because I know I'm doing my part by having a subscription to it. And then I don't dare tell anybody because I don't know, I think saying that out loud is a little embarrassing, but I'm doing it to you guys because I'm sure I'm not the only one here. We're all doing our parts trying to save our beautiful theaters. But yes, if you're also one of the very few people that that have a subscription to a movie theater company, welcome. Let's talk about our subscription together here. So yes, today we're going to be doing another movie review, so let's just hop right into it here. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing the new movie called Black Bag, which was released in 2025. So for Black Bag, for director, we got Steven Soderbergh. Writer, we got David Coep. Starring in this movie, we got Kate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, and Pierce Brosnan. So in the movie Black Bag, it follows the story of George's wife, Catherine, is suspected of betraying the nation. An intelligence agent faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his country or loyalty to his wife. So as we hop into today's review, Steven Soderbergh is a director, I think I said this in my Presents review, that I'm familiar with. However, I don't really think I've seen any other of his movies before. I've just always heard the name and remembered that name. I saw Presents earlier this year, but if I'm being honest, that is probably my least favorite of 2025 so far. So I was going in a little cautious here, but despite my negative experience with Soderbergh so far, I was still really looking forward to this movie. I think the trailers looked amazing. I love Fassbender, and it looked like one of those old school spy drama movies that we don't see very often, especially ones that get a theatrical release here. So I went into this, trying to manage my expectations because Soderbergh kind of burned me earlier this year, but I saw the trailer and I like how it didn't try to sell it as this big action movie. It seemed very upfront with it being just a spy drama type movie. But I don't know, I was like, all right, Soderbergh, let's give you another shot here. I think you're good with your trailers at least. So I don't know, let's see if this one's a little bit better than Presents. So that's why I decided to go out and check it out. So let's jump into the review section here, starting with the positives or the things that I just really enjoyed about this movie. First, I think this is a very well made and well shot movie all across the board. I think Soderbergh here definitely knows how to direct a competent and amazing looking movie. I think this movie here throws you into the world, into the characters as soon as the movie starts. Soderbergh does a great one take to kind of show our character and introduce our character and introduce this spy world around us. And I don't know, I'm just a sucker for for one takes. It could make no sense. It could just serve no purpose. But if you did it in a one take, I'm like, all right, you got me at least interested here. You know how to move a camera. But I expected nothing less than Soderbergh when he just made a whole movie basically just full of one take segments pretty much. But he introduces the movie like that, and I like how it starts off. It's a fantastic looking movie. Soderbergh here does a cool little detail that I noticed throughout this movie is where all the lights in the movie have this almost overexposed, washed out, kind of bleeding look to it. And I don't know if that was on purpose. I mean, I imagine it would be on purpose. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. But to me, I like that detail and that style because it almost showed how all the characters in this movie, their spy life is almost spilling over and bleeding over into their everyday life, and how all of these characters almost lack any separation between their work life and then their personal life. So I don't know here. Maybe I'm reading reading way too into it, but even if I am reading too much into it, I think it's just a nice stylistic choice here that Soderbergh brings. Next here, I think I really enjoyed how it's one of those movies that doesn't really have a clear like beginning, middle, and end here. It's very similar to, I believe, how Tarantino makes his movies, where you're just kind of thrown into these segments, thrown into these characters' lives, and thrown into these conversations. Again, in this movie, just kind of throw you into the characters' lives and their world, and it almost forces you to have to pay attention to catch up to the world around our characters. So many times, especially as the movie starts, you're not really sure what's going on, but you're trying to piece it together through all the dialogue and character interactions. Like, there's no just clear beginning, like, oh, the plot starts here. Like, we're already jumping in the movie when stuff's already been going down, and our character here with Fassbender is already in the middle of something. I think it's one of those movies that doesn't waste your time with catching you up. It literally forces you to pay attention all the time if you want to have any chance at following the story whatsoever. To me, I really enjoy when movies do that because they don't waste my time with exposition scenes, and it just makes me always feel so much more engrossed and captivated when a movie can pull that off well. I just always find myself so invested in the dialogue scenes and just really enjoy trying to piece together what's going on, why are the characters acting like this. As they're talking about stuff, I'm trying to piece it together, like, what are they referring to? I better remember this for maybe later on in the movie when it comes up again. I always enjoy when movies do that. I love how Tarantino writes his movies like that, and Soderbergh here I think does a really good job at having zero exposition, and you're just there, you're trying to play catch up here, but it's in a good way. It's not like the movie's just like not providing you details. It's just it treats you like an adult here and doesn't waste your time and just kind of gets into it. So I definitely enjoyed that aspect. Next here, with any great spy movie, I think this movie does a really good job with the story and setup here, especially in the beginning, like we were just talking about. I think it's a great example of a spy movie where there is just mistrust and double crosses everywhere. All our characters seem very friendly with each other, but you can always tell there's some tension between these characters. You can always tell there's some mistrust, uncomfortability with our characters because of the work they do and because of the history. So I think it makes it very interesting watching it on screen. I think that also adds to our main couple here and puts our main couple in an interesting spot where they have the same profession but then deeply love each other and are married to each other at the same time. So it leaves a lot of mystery on, well, who can I trust in this relationship? They both follow the same rules here. They both have the same profession, the same job, the same spy stuff going on. So it's just very interesting when a spy movie could do something a little bit unique and interesting, like having a couple doing the same thing, but his wife might be up to something and he's kind of got to figure it out, but then the wife is kind of on to the husband. So it's just an interesting dynamic that adds a whole new layer of tension, I think, in this movie too. And then lastly here, I think all the acting and performances here are amazing. I expect nothing less from Fassbender or Cate Blanchett. I think they're both amazing actors and actresses all throughout this movie, even without our two main leads here. I think everyone does a great job. To me, this world feels very lived in, dirty, and untrustworthy, and it definitely has a mesmerizing effect while I was watching it. And I think that's just with the world he was building, the dialogue, how it just throws you right into it. Doesn't waste your time with exposition. So I think it just helps this world building, but then also helps with the pacing of the movie. I just felt pretty engrossed the whole time, and it's always such a special experience when you can get that with a movie like this. I really enjoyed that aspect in the movie. Let's jump into my negatives for the movie, or just the things that I didn't really enjoy about it. So I just want to preface this that I think this is such a well-made movie, a well-written movie, that in no way am I saying this is a poorly made movie. However, sadly, I think it's just one of those movies that is just not made for me. And overall, I just didn't have the best time with it, unfortunately. But at the same time, someone could come up to me tomorrow and say this is their favorite movie of this year or the past year, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I can see exactly who this movie is made for. I think my grandpa would probably enjoy it. Not as an insult, but like I could just picture who would love this movie, and it's just not me. So I'm going to be upfront with that. But for me, the things that I just didn't connect with here is first, I think it's difficult to feel any attachment or connection to any of our characters in this movie. And I think that's a problem when you have a spy movie here where everybody or all of our main characters here are a spy. They're all playing spies purposefully, and they're all purposefully closed off people. So I just don't think it works the best for this movie when you don't really have at least one person, maybe two people that you just really connect with and get to know their personality. You don't really get that here because you just kind of get all the spy sides of these people. They're all playing spies. As I said earlier, their work life is bleeding into their personal life, so they're spies all the time. So you don't really get a deep connection with any of our characters. So I felt like that was missing for me a little bit. Also, I won't get into spoilers here. However, as the movie went on, I did feel like it was meandering a little bit and not a lot of substance was happening throughout. I was expecting to have reveals kind of steadily throughout the movie, or at least like build up to character decisions and different scenes. However, this movie saves it all for the third act, and it left me feeling frustrated with a lot of the movie because when you have spy movies, you expect some reveals throughout the way, then maybe some big reveals later on. And this movie it doesn't do that. It just kind of meanders a little bit, very engrossing. You're like, okay, like I think something's gonna happen. I'm still waiting. I think it's something I can tell is gonna happen here, and then it just happens at the end, and then it's done. So we'll get into it here because speaking of those reveals, by the end I felt super let down with how it all played out. I don't think the reveals were all too surprising at the end. The reveal just kind of happens, and then the movie just kind of ends. It has very little build up and not too much substance like throughout the middle section there, even though I was still enjoying it just because I kind of felt like something was going to happen or something was supposed to happen. So I was still in it. I never felt bored, but it just left me feeling so frustrated. I feel like the ending just kind of showed up and then left, but it failed to me to really wrap up the other things going on or to conclude some of our other characters or other things going on throughout the movie. It felt like the movie saved any of the interesting character and plot reveals for the very end, that the rest of it just felt uneventful. And that's just to me, because this is a very dialogue heavy movie that was working for me, and that's fine, but I feel like you have to have a really satisfying payoff at the end to make that slow journey worth it. Because the journey's slow, but it's purposefully slow and very well done. It has fantastic pacing here, and it's deliberate here in its pacing, but just that ending just kind of happens, and then it's done, and I'm like, oh, okay, it felt very convenient. You know, since we're all spies here, everyone's closed off. It's not like we get little reveals or, get inside our main characters' heads here of how they're working, figuring it out. We don't get any of that because as audience members and the characters around our characters, we're all closed off from these characters. So we don't get it until the characters in the movie gets it. So it felt like it was lacking something. Like I said, at the same time, I could see someone absolutely loving the ending. So I know for me, this is just a me thing, but that's how I felt. And lastly, here for negatives, they have a therapist character in this movie that to me, I work in a similar field, so it just always bugs me a lot when movies don't know how to write mental health professionals or therapist roles very well. It always takes me out of the movie seeing how these therapists act. I'm like, dude, you'd have your license taken away. There's a couple scenes where there's this therapist that's like works for the company, but then like goes to dinner and hangs out and is friends with like their patients. I'm like, dude, it just always takes me out of the movie because I'm like, that is like, you learn that first year, people. Like, you don't do that. So that would never, ever happen. So minor nitpick here, but that was one thing I noticed kind of pulling me out of it when I was watching it. But overall here, I do think this is a very, very well-made movie with great performances and great direction. However, just not a movie for me. I left feeling disappointed due to its meandering story, lackluster third act with reveals that just felt anticlimactic and just not satisfying to me. At the same time, I can recognize me not liking it is a me thing, and I could see someone really enjoying it. So it's one of those weird ones that I push everyone to check out because you might have a completely different experience compared to me. Just for me, it was all right. So for my rating for this movie, for me, this is not a movie I'd look to own or to stream. I think I'd die happy knowing that this was just a one-time watch for me. I got to check it out, and that's it. Not a movie I'd ever look to own or really rewatch. But at the same time, I wouldn't hate myself if someone was watching this, and I'd be curious to see their thoughts on the third act, if anything. So that's about it here, guys. You have my thoughts on the new movie Black Bag. Let me know what you thought of the movie Black Bag. Are you gonna go check it out? Let me know what you thought of the ending, if you disagree or agree with some of my points here. But yeah, let me know. Do you like Soderbergh? Do you like his movies? What'd you think of Presence earlier this year? Let me know your thoughts. I'm very curious on this one, because due to its ratings and reviews, I feel like I'm gonna be kind of on an island with this one. Like I said, not a bad movie, just not a movie for me. Thanks again. I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much for clicking on another ZakIsCinema movie review here. So yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.